My name is Maura Howe and I am the Communications Manager on the Einvoicing Ireland programme in the Office of Government Procurement, and I'd like to reiterate Declan and Paul's sentiments and thank you very much for coming here today. As Paul said, this is our third event with CEF, the European Commission team, and I think we're the only country to have 3 events. That's how much the Commission like us. But we are very appreciative of the support that they have given us. In our very young journey, we're only at this about just over 2 years, and in comparison to other countries across Europe who are at this more than that, 15 years, 12 years, 10 years, we are on a very young journey. But before we get into my presentation, which is just a quick recap for everybody in the room, where we are on the invoicing journey, and just to get to grips with some of the terminology you're going to be hearing during the day before Christian and Martin get into some of the more detail. We're being supported here today by the OGP's communications team, and I understand they're going to be tweeting for us. So the handle for anybody who wants to participate in that conversation is #einvoicingIRE 2020. So you're all welcome to participate in that. And we're also looking to field questions through Slido. Martin and Christian love Slido. They've actually prepared polls for you, and they're going to be asking you questions. They like to get very interactive. So we're really encouraging anybody and everybody in the audience to log into Slido, and the code is 6143. And on each of the agenda is details for login to the Dublin Castle's Wi-Fi, and the details there in case you need them. So just by way of recap, the directive dates back to 2014, and in reaction to that, the Irish government ran a survey to try and understand the invoice processing environment in Ireland. And as Paul said, they established there was well over 4 million invoices processed annually, 90% of those paper-based, putting a significant administrative burden on accounts payable, finance teams, and anybody in the approval process, as we're all very familiar with. And then prompt payment really increased that kind of pressure. And as Paul said, there's real environmental consequences for that amount of paper being processed. So the European standard for e-invoicing was launched in 2017, and that really set those timelines in motion. Now, when we talk about the standard, really what we're talking about is 2 XML formats. So e-invoices that are compliant with the directive are compliant with one of those 2 XML formats. And so in response to that, and just prior to that timeline, the E-Invoicing Ireland programme was put in place to support public bodies in trying to receive and process e-invoices. And we do that through our communications campaign, but also in supporting the establishment of the OGP e-invoicing framework, which we have done in tandem with our sector partners across health, education, local government and central government on our steering committee. So the framework, the OGP framework for e-invoicing, was published last March 2019. And the good news here is it really is it really has been a collaborative process. And so regardless of whether you're going to transition to a shared service or a coordinating facility, or whether you're a public body looking at e-invoicing journey on your own, there is something in the directive for everybody. The other element about the directive is that all the services and solutions are compliant with the directive, they support the European standard, and they provide access to PEPL, which is the network for the transmission of e-invoices. So PEPL really does for e-invoices what the text message network does for sending text. So it doesn't matter what mobile phone I have or what company I'm with, I can send anybody in the room a text message and know it'll land. And that's the idea with Peppol for e-invoices. And the reason why Ireland chose Peppol is because it allows SMEs to connect once and be connected to anybody across the network. So it's a really efficient way of allowing SMEs, particularly, and suppliers to do their business. So last year, central government hit their deadline of April 2019, and we have almost a complete majority, with 85% of central government bodies who are due to come in under the FMSS compliant. At the same time, the directive was transposed into Irish legislation, which enabled all sub-central bodies to avail of that sub-central deadline of April 2020. And that's what we've really been gearing up for. So we have been working with central government. They've gone through the process. They've accessed the framework to become compliant. And we've been getting feedback from them to understand the needs, what it's like as public bodies to go through the process, and to develop information that really is going to help you. So everybody has, I think, on their tables, our new information guide. On the inside is the implementation pyramid, which basically, with our thinking about public bodies sitting down to get their heads around e-invoicing implementation, we've developed this. So it's really a step-by-step process to how to implement e-invoicing. The good news is we've also developed a digital version, which we're hoping to make live in the next week. And you can hover on the different sections and get more information about the different areas as you try to progress up the pyramid. We've also added just quick fact sheets, which are also going to be available online, which kind of give you a snapshot in case you forget all the detail you hear today. It's available on the fact sheet. And also the 5 basic elements that you need to draw down from the framework to achieve basic compliance with the directive, if that's what you're looking for. As Paul said earlier, we've also developed a video version of the notification to activate services form. So that's the form that you fill out on the framework to engage framework members. And Leonard, who's going to talk to you later about the framework, is going to run a demo from that just to give you an idea of how interactive it is. So that if you're sitting there looking at the form and you're not sure what one section or another means, you can tap into the video and play it and get an understanding there in real time in your offices. So then the next journey for us is the e-invoicing, the enduring model. So life beyond our programme, and really trying to embed e-invoicing into the work and the business of government. Because as Paul said earlier, really e-invoicing is a key enabler to join up the different stages of the procure to pay life cycle. So it shoots into the e-payment side, but it also refers back to e-ordering, e-award, e-archiving, and that's really where Europe is going. So Europe are doing e-invoicing, and now they're looking at e-ordering and e-cataloguing, and they're looking at joining up those dots. And I think in Ireland, we're very keen to do that as well. So as Paul said, the national model for e-invoicing really is about driving e-invoicing through the shared services across central government. As I said, central government bodies are compliant. They have signed up. When their FMSS, when their Financial Management Shared Services project is up and running, it will incorporate a more integrated version of e-invoicing for central government. You're going to hear later about the local government pilot project that has run and their plans for their coordinating facility across all the LGMA authorities. And then, as Paul said, we have the Education Business Shared Services solution that is processing electronic invoices at the moment across about 100 suppliers. And then Health Business Shared Services are looking at running their own project for the area, the organisations they look after. But as Paul said, there are public bodies who are going this journey alone, and the framework offers solutions for public bodies on their own as well. So just to give you an idea before the guys dive into some more detail, the way PEPL works is the network. The way the network works is suppliers engage a service provider that gives them access to the PEPL network. At the same time, public bodies or shared facilities engage an e-invoicing service provider to provide them with access to the PEPL network. And then across the network, the e-invoices are transmitted so that public bodies can receive and process them. And that's the ladybird version. So it is as basic as that, but Christian and Martin will get into more detail later on. I suppose just to reassure you from a national implementation perspective, we really went at this in consideration of regional and local challenges. So we recognised that we have a diverse landscape across the public and civil service, and that although shared services are driving e-invoicing, there are a variety of financial systems and setups across the landscape that we're dealing with. So that's why going with a standard-based model was so important, and a decentralised model. So within the interoperability of PEPL, people can tailor things to their systems working with their e-invoicing service providers. I think we also recognised e-invoicing is a really niche area. Not everybody, and particularly not every public sector body, will have come across e-invoicing before. And it's hard sometimes to understand implications for financial management services that can already seem quite technical and quite complicated. So we've done all that work for you in putting together a framework with e-invoicing service providers who will work with your systems and work with you to enable e-invoicing. I know we also have a concern for the suppliers, as Paul mentioned, and as I said, that's why we went with the PEPL model. And that's why we're really trying to gear up volumes through the likes of the LGMA and other shared services solutions. So suppliers know that this is the way the whole of government is going, so that they're not just having to sign up for one client. If they sign up once, they will be able to send to a multitude of clients. So we really think that there's an appetite and ambition beyond just basic compliance across the civil service and the public sector. And we really believe that the building blocks to achieve that are in place with e-government and e-procurement, and e-invoicing is just a really key part of that. So it's really about driving efficiencies, improving access, a better quality of data analytics so that we can make better informed decisions to ultimately arrive at better outcomes. So if you're interested in anything I've said there's some more further reading and information there. We will be sharing the slides on the website, on the OGP's website, the invoicing pages. So I invite you to look them up. And now I'm going to hand over to Martin and Christian, who are going to bring you through the next few stages of the day. I hope you really enjoy the event. Thank you.